Hello, happy Monday. Good morning. Hopefully a few of you are connecting and setting up, getting ready for some yoga for steadiness and balance today. Totally off subject from yoga, but I notice when I do these lives, my smile looks crooked, and I'm wondering if it actually is crooked, and I never noticed. It's so weird, or if it's just the camera angle. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Pat and Bob. Great to see you guys on. Who else is joining us today? I've got a couple of people. So today we're going to work some standing poses with the theme of steadiness, and we'll also do some standing balancing poses to bring in that sense of balance as well. So awesome physical work, but also really in touch with yoga philosophy as well. Hello, Lethal. Nice to see you. So part of yoga, yoga goes so deep and has, a big range of breadth as well. But today, the yoga I'm talking about is going to be about self-reflection and self-observation, self-awareness, because we can't find necessarily, sometimes we're just steady, right, and balanced. And when that is the case, it's not all that obvious, right? It's usually things that throw us off, that we identify we're out of balance, or we're not steady and grounded in our feet and in our lives. And there's opportunities all the time to throw us off. It can be, a relationship can throw you off. It can be like stress. It could be lack of good sleep. It could be pain. It could be all kinds of things that give us the opportunity. Good morning, Jessica. Good morning, Linda. That give us the opportunity to check in on where we're at. And the physical practice of yoga provides that baseline for us to kind of measure what's going on, because the body will give you a great, indication of if you're kind of off, as well as our emotions, right? So we're going to start in standing Tadasana in mountain pose. I do have 2 blocks. So if you have blocks, please grab them. They might be helpful. You're not required to use them, obviously. Good morning, Anne. Thanks for joining. So we're going to start actually with the feet hip distance apart today for Tadasana. Okay, lining up. You're going to look down and line up your toes with your heels. And we'll take the hands to the hips. So we have a little bit of pelvic awareness in a moment. But you're going to gaze down at your toes for a moment and just observe, like, if the toes are just kind of sinking into your mat and there's like no activity. Notice if all your weight is just kind of just kind of dumping down into your feet or your ankles. And we're going to start bringing awareness to the feet, the area that's connected to the earth, our foundation, by first lifting your toes, opening them, so create some space between your toes, and notice that when you do that the arch of your foot lifts, and that immediately brings awareness and engagement into the base of your pose. And then go ahead and set your toes back down, and notice that your thighs are probably engaged from that action, and you want to keep your thighs engaged. That doesn't mean locking out your knees. It means lifting the skin of your knees, having some internal rotation in your thighs, and just a firmness through the upper leg. Then our awareness comes up from the earth, through the legs, into the pelvic region. And when you have your hands on your hips, you can kind of tell if you sort of arch your low back and stick your booty out, or if you kind of squeeze your butt and thrust your hips forward. You want to be somewhere right in between. So I usually just micro bend my knees or bend them, a little deeper. If you need to feel an exaggerated movement of your hips to determine if the pelvis is neutral, tailbone grounding down between the heels. Okay? Awareness up into your chest and the heart area. Broadness in the collarbones. Move back down for a moment to the abdominal region. So the navel, it doesn't have to literally pull back, but there's an internal energy as though you're kind of lifting between your navel and the pubic area, like that low belly. And sometimes that will thrust your ribs forward, so we just refine a little bit as though you want to zipper the edges of your ribs toward the midline of your body. Then shoulder blades present on the back, extension slightly through the fingertips. And now we're standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. We're going to gaze down the tip of the nose, or you can even close your eyes as we stand here for about 5 breaths. Tuning into your breath to come into your body, to begin to go inward, and kind of check in with where you're at today in relation to balance as well as steadiness. As you inhale, feel as though you can create space between the soles of the feet and the crown of your head, growing a little bit taller. And as you exhale, allow yourself to be present on your mat, kind of shutting out the external distractions around you and just feeling your center line and feeling your breath. Then we're going to bring the palms together in front of the heart, step your feet together in Samasthitihi, even standing, and then reset that evenness. So lean forward a bit, lean back a bit, and left and right, and find your center line. Find the length in the back of your neck, the broadness through the heart space as you breathe. Nice. And then we're going to release the hands down, and we're going to hop or walk your feet about your leg distance apart for triangle pose. Okay? Now we want to spin on the right heel. We're going to spin on the left heel. Turn your left toes in at a 45-degree angle, spin on your right heel, and turn your toes out for a triangle, okay? Take your hands down to your hips for a moment, and we're going to move the hips up and down. So if you're looking at me, you can kind of see that my front femur bone is going to go down when my ribs go over the thigh, and it's going to come up a little bit when I stand. This is just creating action or movement, mobility in your SI joints back here. And we want the hips to move with us in a lot of our standing poses. So feel that movement. If you have a block, you might want it on the inside of your front ankle. Now, standing tall, inhale, open your arms and lift your chest. Exhale, extend the ribs out over that thigh. Let those hips move. Take your hand down to your block or your shin or your ankle and roll this top shoulder back. Stacking your wrist right over the shoulder. Now look down toward your toe in front. Make sure that the foot is alive. Open your toes. Draw the arch of the foot up, and then just Watch how that transfers up the leg and feel the firmness of your front thigh. Now tone between the pubic area and your navel, drawing that back, and ground into your back foot. Ground into that back heel. Extend the crown of your head away from the tailbone. Maybe now you look toward the center of the room. If your neck feels up for it, then turn your eyes and look up at your top thumb. Lots of length in the spine as you're inhaling. Lots of strength in the legs and the low abdomen as you exhale. One more breath. If you're using a block, you're going to hold on to it and bring it with you when you stand. But now push into the soles of the feet, squeeze your buttocks, sit bones toward the tailbone, inhale and come up. And we'll switch our toes to the other side and make sure that back toe hits in front of the heel, critical for the safety of your knee. And then we're going to move the hips again up and down, asking for a little bit of mobility in the SI joint. Noticing that the thigh bone kind of goes up and down. The head of the thigh bone is moving in the hip socket. Toes are open. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale, extend the ribs over the thigh. Move those hips. Let them rotate. And then block on the inside of the ankle. Top shoulder rolls back. Fingertips extend. Look down towards your front foot. Engage that foot. Engage the front leg. Lift the skin of the knee without hyperextending. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then ground into the back foot. And breathe. Front body, side body, back body. Inhale and come on up. Turn your toes forward and then step to the center of your mat in Tadasana. Take a full breath. Center the weight evenly through your feet. Feel the steadiness of the body. Then open the feet again. We're going to repeat that a little bit quicker. Turn your toes to the right. Back toe in front of the heel. Open up the chest. Exhale, hinge over. Set up your Untitled Trikanasana triangle pose. Focusing on the feet and your legs. Engaging the low body. Now, a lot of people hyperextend the knees. And the way you can avoid that is to visualize a micro bend in the knee. And if that doesn't make sense to you, then try to suck your calf muscle into the back of your shin bone. Okay, so when your thigh presses down, your shins kind of lift up. And it's very subtle, but very beneficial, very stabilizing. On an inhalation, come on up. Exhale, turn your toes to the other side. Get the back toe in front of the heel at that angle. Exhaling, ribs over the thigh. Open the chest. Untitled Trikanasana. Feeling energy extending through the inner legs toward your big toe mound. Feeling grounding energy on the pinky side of the foot. And then as you feel the front thigh engage, also suck the calf muscle up toward the back of the shin bone. Good, one more breath. And inhale. Come on up, turn your toes forward. You can zigzag those feet a little closer and step to Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Now we're going to separate the feet again about 4.5 feet apart. Turn your toes to your right for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So we're going to inhale, separate it, lifting the ribs away from the hips, and then exhale, drop your front knee over the heel. Critical that the knee does not pass the ankle. So look down, check it out. And ideally, the knee is in line with your second toe. Okay? What's really important in this pose is that the knee does not move inside of your big toe. If that happens, if your knee comes in over here like that, your hips need a little more space. So what you do is you take your back foot and you move it toward the stomach side of your body so that the knee now can open out to the side. Good, keep breathing. Keep breathing. Notice the action of both legs, not just your front leg. Now we're gonna inhale and straighten the front knee, turn your toes around to the other side, lift the chest, and exhale, bend that knee right over the heel. Check out the relationship of that front knee with the heel and your toes, and just make sure it stacks right over the heel and not past it. Trust the strength of your legs. They will hold you. They may shake. Keep trusting them, grounding through your feet. Inhale, straighten your front leg, turn your toes forward, zigzag them in, step 2, Tadasana. Observe sensation. Observe kind of that fiery energy of your legs, and you may even be standing a little taller. We're going to open the feet again, same pose, a little faster. Turning your toes to the right, lift the chest as you inhale, exhale, drop the knee right over the heel. Tune into the energy of your back leg by pressing that thigh bone back, grounding through the outside edge of the foot, but then drawing the arch of the foot up. Your front foot, same thing, you're grounding into the big toe mound. Just drawing the arch of the foot up. We're gonna go into Parsvakonasana, side angle stretch. So you're gonna reach out with that front arm, taking the ribs over the thigh. You can take your forearm to the thigh if you don't have a block, top arm alongside the ear. If you have a block, it's nice to have it on the inside of the ankle and push into it, really extending the top arm. You can even take the block to the back of the foot. It's a little more challenging when the block is behind it. Deepen the breath. Lengthen the tailbone toward the foot that's behind you and extend the ribs and the crown of the head away from your waist. Now we're gonna push off the front foot, pull with the top arm, come up, turn your toes forward and around to the left, moving your block. Make sure the back toe gets in front of the heel. It likes to hang and kind of go toward the back corner of your mat. You want it going toward the front corner of the mat. Now inhale, lift the chest, exhale, warrior 2, focusing on the legs and the grounding energy through the base of the pose, extending out from the hips when you're inhaling, but feeling how the four corners of the feet ground as you exhale and the weight of your hips sink. You counter that action by inhaling breath up the spine, exhaling it toward the fingertips, and Parsvakonasana, side angle stretch, hinging over forearm to thigh, top arm by the ear. If you have a shoulder problem sometimes, or neck, you can stack here. But if you're healthy in the shoulders and neck, extend that whole side body. You can feel energy move from the back heel, up the leg, up the side body, through the armpit, and up to the fingertips. Again, front knee stays right over the heel, not past it. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, turn your toes forward, zigzag the feet in, step right to Tadasana, gaze downward, observe your breath. Observe kind of the quality of the legs. Do they feel heavy? Do they feel light? Do they feel warm? Do they feel cold? Do they feel tense, or do they feel kind of expansive? Now, let's take our block, one block over to the right side of your mat. Open your feet up maybe 3 feet wide. We're coming into Ardha Chandrasana, balancing pose, half moon pose. So the front toes are kind of looking at your block and the back toes are at that angle. You're gonna lift your arms like you're doing warrior 2 and then start to bend this front knee and just pause for a moment so you can let the weight of your body distribute evenly through the foot. And the back foot starts to float, then we straighten the bottom leg, stacking your block under the shoulder, and you're rolling this top hip back as well as the top shoulder, like you're gonna lean into a wall behind you. Yeah, and the top heel is pretty much in line with the buttocks, maybe a little taller or higher. And we are observing the breath. We're pressing into the 4 corners of the standing foot, but we are also reaching through the sole of that extended leg foot, away from the crown. Totally okay if that standing leg is wobbling, it's just getting stronger. Now bend your standing knee, inhale, and come up. And then we'll switch sides. Setting up your block over to that side. You can also have some sort of stool or even the seat of your couch. Inhale, lift your arms, bend your front knee, and then pause and feel your weight go down evenly through that standing foot. Let the back foot float. Exhale as you teeter over. Now block is out far enough from your foot so that you are kind of reaching through the underside of your ribs. We're rolling the top hip back, roll the top shoulder back, and breathe so that you're kind of always reaching for that balance. That's how we find the balance. Steadiness in the breath so that the body has a chance to also find that grounding sensation and steadiness as you balance. Bend your standing knee, inhale, and come up. Stand in Tadasana. Observe the breath and sensation. Good. Now, step your feet wide. And we're going to turn the toes in slightly, almost like a pigeon-toed. Then hands come to the hips, and we're going to lift the chest. Now, just look forward and kind of square the ribs over your hips. And now create the action like your inner thighs are moving inward, like this. And you might even take your hands to the skin of your legs or your leggings and go like this and kind of encourage this internal rotation. When you get it, you'll feel it up here in the piriformis muscle. It starts to turn on in the high buttocks, right? And then your inner leg, the energy of it is pushing toward the outer leg, like pulling a wishbone apart. Then the 4 corners ground. So really observe if you tend to just kind of roll into the outer ankle, right? Or if your ankles collapse and ground through the 4 corners of the feet. Then we'll open the chest and look up. Then exhale, come over. If you have blocks, have them under the shoulders and come to a flat back. And if your hands touch the floor, totally cool. But we want to have the spine pretty much parallel to the floor for a moment. Recreate that action in your legs. Internally rotate the thighs. This time lift your sit bones, inner leg to outer leg, 4 corners of the feet ground. Stretch your sternum out and look up. And on an exhalation, you can walk the hands down. The head just kind of dangles toward the floor. And we just keep moving the breath and activating the legs and activating the feet. Inhale, come up just halfway, pause and exhale. Make sure those thighs are engaged as you walk your hands to your hips. Have your tailbone tuck slightly, and then inhale, come up. Nice. Zigzag the feet in, and then step your feet together into mountain pose. Observe if your feet are sagging and if the weight of your body is just sinking when you step to mountain. And if that's the case, then open your toes for a moment and lift the skin of the knees. Good. Now, Parsvakonasana, a forward fold. We want to have our hips square forward. So if you put your fingers on your hip bones, you can feel how they are parallel. And we want to keep them parallel as you step 1 foot forward and then 1 foot back, maybe 3.5 feet behind you. Now this back toe is at an angle toward the corner of your room or the front corner of the mat. And then notice that the feet, there's a couple of inches laterally between your feet, so you're not on a tightrope. This makes room for your hips to stay parallel. So when you step that back foot back, did the hip open? If it did, draw it back around. Now press through the soles of both feet. Feel that both thighs engage. Then open the chest and look up, gazing toward the brow as you exhale. Come forward. If you have blocks, grab them and look up. If you don't, just kind of push the fingers on the shin bone. And then exhale. You can walk your hands to the mat or keep them on the block as you relax the weight of your head into a forward fold. Observe your own feet and your legs. And just kind of look with your mind's eye and look literally with your vision at the action or the lack of action in the feet and in the legs. If you're fully turned on and engaged, then you can start relaxing, focusing on relaxing the outer skin of your body and the weight of your head. If you're working to strengthen more, then you're lifting the arches of the feet still, and you focus on the thighs pressing back. We're going to inhale, come up halfway, bend your front knee slightly as you take your hands to your hips, and then inhale, come up. We'll bend the front knee to step the back foot forward, and then we'll switch sides. So your other foot steps back. Avoid being on a tightrope, so lateral stance, both legs are engaged. Hip bones are like headlights on a car, parallel. Inhale, open your chest, and reach with the front of the spine as you start to exhale and fold. Inhale, one more breath. You look up, stretch the sternum out, then exhale and bow towards your leg. Then observe if you can ground evenly through the four corners of each foot. We're just working that kind of self-awareness, self-observation of the physical body first. There is no good or bad. It's just learning about kind of how we ground, how we can steady, and how we strengthen. One more breath. Inhale, come up halfway. Pause and exhale, bend the front knee slightly, hands to your hips, and inhale, come on up. Bend that front knee, step your back foot forward so you're standing in Tadasana. Center the crown of your head right over your hips. And we'll move into tree pose, standing on the left leg first. You want to take the foot either to the inner ankle, inner calf, or grab that ankle and pull the foot to the inner thigh. Just avoid your inner knee, and then thumbs at the heart. Strong connection between the sole of the foot and the inner standing leg. Find a gazing point and then smooth out the breath. If you fall out of it, just try again. If you need to hold a chair or the wall, then you can do that. Sensing when you find that balance, this center line of your body, and then breathe like expansive breaths around the center line. Exhale, release your hands, and then release the foot. You can shake out that standing leg and switch sides. Find a good place to connect the sole of the foot and your inner leg, other than the knee, of course. So you don't want to press onto that joint. Hips are pretty parallel. There's expansiveness through the front, sides, and back ribs. When you steady your eyes, the gaze really goes inward. We take the awareness from the external and we move it inward. Observing from the sole of that standing foot all the way up to the crown of your head as you smooth out your breath. Exhale the hands and the foot. Stand tall in first Samasthitihi, even standing. So palms together. Center the crown of your head right over your ribs. Center the ribs right over the hips and engage the space between the pubic area and the navel. And then center the weight of your hips evenly through your feet. Gazing downward. Even out your breath. As we even out the breath, we find steadiness in the body. And that helps us to steady our emotions when we need to. Exhale, take your hands down to your sides, stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. So we are standing with a lot of activation and engagement. Feeling that drawing up from the earth through the soles of the feet, that sense of groundedness in the legs, sense of freedom in the breath, sense of balance, front, back, and sides, sense of balance internally, and then we'll slowly bring the palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, gently bow the face down. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. Thank you for being here. Namaste. And we'll walk with strength and steadiness in the legs today. Hope you guys have a good one. I want to let you know that Wednesday I won't be able to teach in the morning. I'm getting part 2 of the root canal done. So I'll teach instead Thursday or Friday. So if you have a request for which day, just let me know. What else did I want to mention? I wanted to say thank you for your donations. I really appreciate it. If you can't donate, it's no big deal. This is free yoga as well. I am just happy that we can connect in community and that we can focus on health and wellness together. So have a lovely day. Namaste.